All right, so today we're going to talk about standard form and a couple of pieces that it tells us. So one thing that it tells us is standard form, when we write a quadratic, is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, and the a value, which goes in the front, this tells us something. So we normally put a number in there. If the a number is positive, it tells you that the graph is going to open upwards. Now, what I like to think about is if it's positive, it means the ends are going to be pointing in the positive direction. If the a value is negative, then I know that the two ends will be pointing in the negative direction, so it'll be opening down. So I think of a positive as opening up, and I think of this a negative as opening down. Now, to give you an example of it, we'll just take a look at this Desmos calculator briefly. So I'm going to open this up, and we'll get rid of this for a second. So I'm going to just type in a quadratic in here. I'll just make one up, 3x squared let's see here. All right, so 3x squared. We'll do minus 2x minus 6. So minus 2x minus 6. I don't really care about the middle parts, but if you look at the a value is 3, and because it's positive 3, the graph opens up. Now, if I change that to a negative, oops. So if I go inside there, hold on. There we go. If I go to a negative, it looks like it disappeared, but really all it did was, if I change to a negative 3, it points down. So the thing that I wanted you guys to see here is what I said here. If a is positive, the graph opens up. If a is negative, it points down. Now there's one more part that we want to talk about, which is the c value. So the c value is the value at the end, and what it actually does is it tells you the y-intercept, or where it's going to start. So if you're going to graph a quadratic, and you want to see where it's going to cross on the y-axis, so this would be the y going up and down, this point right here, this will be your y-intercept, and the coordinates for it will be 0, comma, whatever your c number is. So just to show you that it works, what I'm talking about is if I have an equation like 2x squared plus 4x minus 8, I know that it's going to cross at 0, negative 8. That will be the y-intercept. Now just to show you what it looks like, talk about the c value, let's look at the graphing calculator so we can see how it shows up there. So we'll take a simpler one. We'll just do y equals x squared plus 6x minus 7. Erase some of that. Okay, so if you look at 6x minus 7, I'm going to zoom in here. So we're looking at where it crosses on the y-axis, and it's right here. And it's at 0, negative 7, because your c value is negative 7. So this tells you where it's going to cross on the y. So we didn't talk about the x-intercepts here. We just talked about the a value and the c value. So just to recap real quick. Oops. Let's see if I can get that to come back. There we go. So the c value tells you the y-intercept, and the a value tells you if it opens up or down. So for you guys, what I wanted to have you guys try is I want you to think about this equation. If I write it, y equals, I'll put negative 5x squared plus 4x plus 13. and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So the first question is, which way does it point? My stylus isn't working, so that's why I'm using my finger. And then why? So if you want to pause it real quick and just answer this to yourself and then see if you're right. So which way does it point? I'm going to say that it's going to point facing down, so it's going to open down, meaning it's going to be shaped with the ends pointing down. And the reason why is because your A value is -5. So that means that it's going to point down because A dictates which way it points, up or down. So hopefully you got that right. Then the second question I'm going to ask is, what is the C value? And then after that, what does it tell you? So in your mind right now, or if you want to write it down, I want you to try to answer this question. And you can hit pause if you need a little extra time. And I'll do it. So the C value here is 13. So C equals 13. What does it tell us? Well, it tells us that the y-intercept is going to be at 0, 13. Or if you're thinking about it as a picture, you know that it's going to cross, it's going to open down because of the A value being negative. So I know it's going to open down. Oops. And the place where it crosses here is going to be at 0, 13. Now, this isn't necessarily in the middle. I just put it, I kind of drew it kind of goofy, so it could have been like this. But that's the information that we know from the equation. So hopefully this helps you guys out on figuring out how do you know which way it points and how do you know where the y-intercept is.